The victim said they didn't have no guns, and you and your client proved they did. And because of that, he didn't get 10, he got under 5 years. You said that. In our world, you told.
It is next level how stupid he is. Now, if we're saying he's just doing it for clout, if we're saying he's just doing it for views, I would think, okay, that's an excuse. But it really isn't. I really do think he's very stupid. So, long story short is, Pooh Shiesty, Lontrell Williams gave up no one. Absolutely no one. We never cooperated with the government whatsoever. The paperwork that he's reading is that our defense was that we blamed the alleged victims, that the victims were trying to hold up and rob Pooh and his crew, and that's why the guns came out.
When it comes to social media, shares, clicks, and likes often sway public opinion. And when it comes to street politics, clout has more power than actual facts. One of the most controversial personalities online right now is a music executive by the name of Wack 100, who used to manage LA rappers like Game and Blueface. He's also widely known for commenting on issues like gang culture, hip-hop beefs, and debating them from a street code perspective. Now, a lot of people see Wack 100 as a hypocrite, because one second he'll defend the idea of street codes, and the next jump online and air them out. Wack also claims to have ties behind scenes, often making statements about people's personal information and paperwork. But half the time, he never backs those statements up with actual evidence, so many people look at him as just a clout chaser. Now, back in February of 2022, Wack would accuse a rising rap star from Memphis by the name of Pooh Shiesty of snitching. Wack would claim on a Clubhouse conversation that he had seen a proffer that Pooh Shiesty has taken in his current Fed case. Now, for y'all that don't know what a proffer is, it's a written agreement deal with prosecutors. Wack 100 said he believed Pooh Shiesty told on his two co-defendants. Lontrell Williams, also known as Pooh Shiesty, rose to fame back in 2020 after mainstream success of his breakout song Back in Blood, Future and Lil Durk. After climbing the charts, Pooh Shiesty would go and sign with Gucci Mane's label, 1017 Records. Even with all this newfound success, Shiesty's career would take a turn just 6 months later after being involved in a shooting during an alleged robbery attempt down in Bay Harbor Islands, Florida. The incident occurred while attempting to purchase marijuana, lean, and high-end sneakers. In the video, you can see Pooh Shiesty with his team next to a McLaren. Moments later, members of Shiesty's entourage began letting off shots. You can see one victim limping away after being shot in the buttocks. At the scene, a duffel bag with $40K was taken by Pooh Shiesty's crew. He would be arrested for the shooting days later on October 13, 2020, along with his two co-defendants, 21-year-old Bobby Brown from Memphis, Tennessee, and 20-year-old Jaden DeRosa from Florida. They were bailed out the same day. Their charges included conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of a crime of violence, conspiracy to commit a robbery, committing a robbery, and discharging a firearm in furtherance of a crime of violence. If convicted, all three would have faced life in the feds. Now, while out on bail, Pooh Shiesty's career continued to rise. In February of 2021, Pooh Shiesty would drop his debut mixtape, Shiesty Season, which peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Hot 100. The project featured collaborations with big artists like Lil Durk, 21 Savage, and Gucci Mane himself. But while out on bail, Shiesty would catch another case just months later. On June 9th, 2021, Pooh Shiesty was arrested in connection with a shooting on Memorial Day weekend while at the King of Diamonds strip club down in Miami. Despite the victim later recanting their statement, Shiesty remained in custody without a new bond. 3 weeks later, he will be indicted by the feds for his robbery case. Pooh Shiesty and his co-defendants will go on and sign a plea deal and was sentenced on April 20th, 2022 in a Miami federal court. He received a sentence of 5 years and 3 months for one federal firearm conspiracy charge. This sentence was part of the plea deal in which prosecution dropped 3 other charges that could have resulted in a life sentence if they took it to trial. Pooh Shiesty began serving his sentence in April of 2022, but with the combination of good behavior and time served, Shiesty was released early to a halfway house on October 6, 2025, after serving 3 years of his 5-year sentence. His early release brought Wack 100 back out the shadows, doubling down on the snitching allegations. But this time, Pooh Shiesty's lawyer, Bradford Cohen, fired back while on Wack 100's podcast, completely shutting down Wack 100's allegations with straight facts.
All of y'all don't know, Napoleon is Pooh Shiesty's actual legal attorney that handled his case. So he has more in-depth paperwork, more in-depth information than what I consider to be shallow. Now, Napoleon, so I want you to authenticate, right, that is a line in Pooh's document. In this case, there was a very strong factual proffer made by the government. And
That's not a line in any document that I've seen.
I got this from his father, right? This document came from his father, so I want to send it to you. We represent a movement called the Exposers, and we're not here just to expose people on bad shit, but we're here to clear things up.
Okay, so what you're looking at right now
Uh huh.
is that this is, I don't know if this is a document in his case, but this looks like a legal filing by an attorney, and it just says in this case there was a very strong factual proffer made by the government, and the appellant's sworn adoption of this proffer also clearly establishes his guilt of the killing of David Jones. Pooh Shiesty wasn't on trial for the killing of David Jones, so I don't know specifically where this
Okay.
document came from in the case.
Now, Napoleon.
You gotta love how the attorney immediately shut Whack 100 down. Like, look, bro, I don't know what document this is you got, but this is about a murder. Pooh Shiesty wasn't even on trial for a murder. You gotta just appreciate how in less than like literally 2 seconds that lawyer shut that whole thing down. But look, let's keep going.
Every single defendant in federal court, if they want to plead guilty to the offense charge, they have to sign a factual proffer statement because the courts require defendants to admit to their guilt if they're pleading guilty.
Okay,
If the defendant will not admit to the factual proffer, the judge will force them to go to trial. So
Okay.
a factual proffer is necessary just to plead guilty in the case.
So we agree that he signed a factual proffer. We can agree on that.
Of course, just like every other defendant who pleads guilty.
Okay.
If someone was cooperating with the government and gave a proper statement to the government, that document would be sealed and it's not a public record.
I'm glad.
I want to make something clear too. Every single defendant in this case signed the same factual proffer. Okay.
We get that.
Huh?
We get that, but there's been cases where every single defendant signed a proffer and all of them told too. So, and we're not concerned with the other ones. We just concerned personally with Pooh. He's the name. He's the one that whatever.
Right. So I just want to make sure that this is not a statement that anyone gave to the government. Nobody in this case, none of the defendants sat down and talked to the government. This document was prepared by the government, that was reviewed by counsel, all of us, and we agreed, all of the defendants, that this is the factual proffer for everybody. So it begs the question, who did he snitch on if everybody signed the same factual proffer? There was a superseding indictment that charged him with several different counts, everybody with several different counts. Hobbs Act robbery, conspiracy to commit Hobbs Act robbery, and all these other things. We were going to trial. We were preparing for trial. We flew to Memphis. We flew to all these different places because the government was trying to get us to plead to something that we just were not going to do. They were, 22 years old around that age at the time, and spending 20 years of your life in jail just didn't make any sense. So as a compromise, the government offered everybody in this case to plead to 1 count of conspiracy to possess firearms in furtherance of a violent and drug trafficking crime. Okay. The government was trying to hold Bobby Brown, Pooh Shiesty, and everybody else to the firearms conspiracy charge in furtherance of an attempted murder. We argued that it was not a robbery. This at best was an aggravated assault. And we said that the guideline range should have a lower offense level based on the fact that this is an aggravated assault. The judge ultimately agreed with us after looking at the video that this was not a robbery. This was an aggravated assault. The judge still ultimately agreed with us that the guideline range should be lower than what the government was suggesting because you got to get you a paid lawyer. And that's what happens when you do.
Whack 100 began talking in circles in desperation after Shiesty's lawyer began hitting him with the facts. Now, this is why people call Whack a goofy. Even when proven wrong, Whack still takes no accountability. Now, Pooh Shiesty's lawyer made some great points. How could Pooh Shiesty possibly have snitched him if he and his 2 co-defendants all signed the same deal? If anything, Pooh took the charge because he wasn't the actual shooter. Now, this is why Whack 100 lacks credibility in the first place. Whack built his whole image on being real, being street, and keeping it 100, but at the same time, he's the same one hopping online, exposing conversations, arguing and gossiping, and bringing street business straight to the internet, all for views and content. Even with the false allegations against Pooh Shiesty, the streets still respect his name. But the real question is, can he reclaim his spot back at top? The streets move fast, the game changes quick, and fans' loyalty is not always guaranteed. I mean, we've seen this time and time again with artists when they get out of jail. Look at Bobby Smurder. Every time Bobby Smurder has dropped since he's been released has been straight booty cheeks, nigga, pause, nigga, straight trash. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see. I mean, Pooh Shiesty did beat life, so I guess that's a dub.